We are back for another transformational Tuesday. This time we have these awesome people with us. What is this all about? Look, there is technical information, there is business information that you need to know, but what we want to bring you is the transformation of the people as they go through their growth to building their success, because I'm sure that's what you actually want to know, how to get the success, not just how to do the property, not just how to build the business. You want to know how you yourself can get it. So if you want to keep getting in touch with all of the information that's going to help you create a new experience, to do that, subscribe to this YouTube channel right now. Turn on notifications bell, make sure that you share and you comment and you hit that like button as well, so more people can experience the greatness that we're just about to go into with Greg and Stacey. So first of all, thank you so much for spending the time. I know you have a young baby. Yeah,
yep.
A real life baby, RLB, yep. I like to call it. And you're doing a great job with that. But maybe we can talk about how that has been a part of your journey and part of your growth. But I mean, first of all, thank you for being here.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, snap.
Well, I mean, what we want to do really is we just want to talk about your journey. We want to talk about the transformation, talk about the wins, the learnings, the good times, the tough times, the times where you wanted to maybe quit and all the rest of it. Just because at the end of the day, people need to see what the real deal is made up from. I mean, we were just chatting just beforehand and we were talking about, okay, sometimes it can come across as all the glam and people might get wrapped up in all of that. But at the same time, that doesn't take away from the awesome side of it, which it is very simple. I suppose we're going to get into that. But what I want to know, first of all, I mean, property investing in particular is your choice now of vehicle, isn't it? So
yeah.
What made you want to get into that in the first place?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go.
Yeah. So for me, I saw property as a vehicle to where it could get me to financial freedom, having opportunity, and really just being in control of my own life. That's simply why I wanted to get into property, but also I had a real passion for, my dad was a builder. So I've been on building sites. So I just
and you still wanted to be involved?
yeah.
And you used to say you used to make you do all the crappy jobs as well.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, my dad is a builder. I was the labourer. Probably the easiest way to put it.
Are you trying to say that a labourer is a crap job? Is that what you're saying?
No, but the jobs you were doing weren't very. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of crap involved, like literal actual crap.
So Stacey wasn't there at the time.
This is a story I get told.
Yeah. But what I'll say is, as a labourer, you can learn a lot with just your eyes. For that, ever since, I had a passion for wanting to get into property, but I just didn't know how. I didn't know how to. Well, I knew there was one way, and that was to save up a deposit and then move on. However, I wanted to move fast.
I never actually knew that about you, the whole kind of, being involved at that level, because it's very similar to me. The labourer and work, like all my friends went to college, but I went straight into on the building site, making the tea, mixing the cement, carrying all stuff around, whatever I was doing, just doing literally what I was told. Yeah, and then scrawny little kid fall asleep in the van on the way home because they worked.
That's it.
Worked so hard. So I never knew that happened to you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, Stacey? A similar story or it's different?
Oh yeah, build sites all the way. No, no. To be honest, I never wanted to get into property. It was not something I'd ever really thought about. I think I was just kind of, in my mind, I was doing what I suppose we're told to do, which is, go to school, go to university, get a secure job, work really hard, retire, and then die. Get married, buy a house.
Who tells you to do that? They tell you to do that?
I feel like they do, yeah. I feel like I've been told that.
Subliminally.
Subliminally, yeah.
I think it's in the message somewhere. But okay, so but then what happened? Because that's not what you're doing.
So what happened? So I met this one.
Yeah.
And he said, let's go to this free seminar. So we went to a seminar. And to be honest, it wasn't the property side of things that intrigued me. It was the lifestyle that they sold, and the buzz and the excitement that brought. I always remember thinking that I wanted to have that eternal summer holiday feeling. like I've been reflecting on this quite a lot lately, actually. And I remember as a kid, as soon as you broke up from school in the summer, I always felt like I was free. You know, I had 6 weeks, didn't have to worry about anything, no responsibility, could just do whatever I want. And gradually over the years, I have been aware of this. That sort of disappeared. Other things have come up. There's been responsibilities, summer jobs. Now I'm a teacher, so there's never really an end date. And I realised that I wanted that back. And so for me, I saw property as a vehicle to give me that freedom to do what I want, when I want, while still being, secure financially.
Yeah, because your job, is it called the job when you're a teacher? Yeah, your job was a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And it makes it quite interesting because I think we have quite a few ex-teachers now because they're not teachers. Are you still a teacher? Are you going back?
I'm part-time. I'm going about 3 days, but only for as small amount of time as I have to.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to leave education. I want to stay in education. I just want to be on a
real education.
I want to be a more influential point in education where I can make real change.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing that and watching that happen.
Yeah.
As you know, that's a very passionate thing that is close to my heart. So, okay, so this is what happened. You've got Greg had seen the laboring and dealing with the crap, and you had seen the fancy extended summer holiday. So then what happened?
Yeah, so we signed up to a training provider, and then we basically attended those seminars. We signed up to a package for 5 of them over a period of time. And essentially there are 3 days of essentially knowledge transfer, where you're in a room of probably about 250 people. So asking questions was essentially a no-go. And you do very well to get an answer that you were looking for, and surrounded by just people who wanted the same thing. But for me, it was a lot of knowledge transfer, and I really struggled to actually apply that knowledge essentially, because there was just no vehicle to help you apply that the knowledge you got from those seminars.
So then what happened? You went out, started taking some action. Did you start?
Yeah.
So what happened because of this new knowledge that you had?
Yeah. So we started to apply some of the techniques that we'd been taught, in terms of how we worked out the numbers, the kind of properties to be looking for. I think we had this idea in our head that we needed to buy the cheapest possible property, get the highest rents and all of that, which is to an extent is true. But we then felt, okay, well, we can't do that in Birmingham where we live, so we need to go somewhere cheaper. So we drove them down the motorway, I think, to Stoke and Newcastle and Lyme pretty much every weekend for I think about a year.
Yeah.
Viewing properties and ringing agents, and something just wasn't clicking. We had a mentorship that was 3 days, which kind of pushed us forward, but then at the same time, it just didn't feel like, for me personally, I didn't have that buzz about it. It just felt like a drain, and it felt like something that we just, were trudging along through.
Felt like the opposite reason why we joined up, essentially.
Yeah, and there was definitely a lot of times during that first year where we were like, let's just not bother, let's just give up.
Yeah, let's give up.
We're not getting anywhere.
Especially after the 50th time going up to up north in the winter, start waiting to see a house, and then no one turns up to open the door. That they're quite emotional thoughts that go through your head.
Wow, emotional, powerful things. So, well, okay, so all of that stuff, driving up and down the motorway, what kind of was you thought about jacking it in? What was going through your mind? Well, what's going on in your life at this point? Like, how are you balancing everything? How are you juggling everything that's going on, both working full time and whatever else is going
on? In pure transparency and honesty, we were arguing a lot about it because we were putting so much pressure on ourselves, trying to make it work. We'd obviously spent we spent a substantial amount of money, and we were so keen for it to work, but we just couldn't apply it, like you were saying. And I think really we were quite close. We were getting to quite a dark place in our lives, really, thinking we've invested all this money and essentially we weren't getting any return for it. It was basically just like opening the back door of your house and throwing the money out and then shutting the door again, if I'm honest. And I didn't see a way out or us gaining any traction moving forward. And from my side, would you add anything?
Yeah, I must admit, I feel like I can't really remember that part of my life. It seems so distant now from where we are. I just remember having conversations with you, being like, you wanted to do this. Why are we doing this? Let's just, like, we're okay as we are. Like, we're quite comfortable as we are. Let's just carry on with what we're doing. I'd not long started a new job, and I was loving that. It was, brand new school, really good atmosphere. So I remember thinking, well, actually, that was fine. Let's just do that. But then knowing, I think that was probably me settling. Like, at the time, I didn't really know that, but I knew something wasn't quite what it should be.
And I think as well, to add, I mean, at that time when you talk about jobs, I'd just taken a new job as well, and I was going up and down. Every Tuesday morning, I would have to jump on the first train out of Birmingham down to London and stay away for 4 nights, and then come back on a Friday night. After I realised commuting to London every day just didn't work. I was leaving at 6 in the morning, getting back about 8:30, and then I would repeat. So my job basically demanded me being in London a good 95% of the time. And I worked out in the first year of doing that job, while trying to sort the property out, I spent about 60% of that year in hotels.
Something I just remembered actually as well is a conversation we kept having, was that I wanted to get married and to have a baby. And we had the conversation so many times where, I'm sure you don't mind me saying this, but Greg's response was essentially, we need to get this property stuff sorted first. So then I had that in my mind as well. So not only is it not working for us as a business, but actually our lives are on hold, because we felt like, well, we'd agreed, I suppose, that it wasn't going to happen until we at least had an offer accepted, or so many HMOs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So then so the dark places, lots of traveling, all of that stuff. So then what changed? What happened? What did you figure out?
I suppose for me, I started seeing people that were doing it well, like yourselves. And I thought anyway, why don't we start reaching out to people who are doing it well, who seem to be moving forward, and rather than waiting for the help to come to us before we say, right, let's, give it in, let's go out to somebody and get their opinion on it and their advice to see how they would help us in this situation. And that's where we came across yourself and Trish, reached out. And I guess, the rest is history.
Well, I remember that. You watched a few videos of lives of Mark and Trish. And I felt that when Stacey introduced me to you and Trish back then, I don't know, I just seemed to connect to you before I'd even met you both, because of you had the little family. Trish would be doing a live, and then you'd be almost coaching her in the background, and then vice versa. And I don't know, it was just really humbling to see that type of live and realize, look, they've got a family. They're also willing to help others and take them on the journey. And from that moment, we thought we've got to get a call in the diary with you two to really understand what the hell are we doing wrong, essentially.
Yeah, and it was that, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was it.
So then because I mean, information, and there may be new information that you picked up along the way, because there's always new things to learn. But what was the turning point for you, and what started to happen?
For me, it was that process of, I suppose, unpicking what it was that was personally stopping me from moving forward. I suppose I came to realise that it wasn't the content that we were missing, and actually that we knew quite a lot in terms of knowledge and how to do it, but there was something emotionally and mentally that was stopping me from pulling the trigger and from actually doing whatever it takes. I feel like I had in my mind a vision of how it should happen, and so I was missing the opportunities that were in front of me. Hence, through coaching, then we started to realise, well, why don't we actually just invest where we live? Yes, it's more expensive, but the rents are higher, and we can make a strategy out of where we live without us having to go up and down the motorway. And then all of a sudden we were, doing viewings on the way back from work and popping out, just on Saturday morning, and then having the rest of the day to do, other things. And so it just suddenly, it seemed possible. And I felt like I was allowing myself to actually now feel that momentum, like the resistance started to break down.
Yeah, and I think for me, on reflection, I think I was in the mindset of I told myself I knew a lot of it. But as soon as obviously you take that mindset, you close yourself off to learning anything new. So I was probably holding back quite a lot of demons deep down, to the point where, I was referred to at some point in my life as a slab of concrete, where, I look back and smile about it now, but actually I don't even think a lump hammer would have broken me, because I was that ingrained in my ways, and I just wasn't open to different ways of thinking. And I thought, like you, to some extent, that it had to be A to B. You couldn't go from A to C. And when you're in your own world, you only know what you know, and you think what you know is right. And essentially, I was looking for something outside of my environment to help me channel it, basically.
I remember having our calls in the office, which is now Annabelle's bedroom.
Yeah.
And I just remember sitting in there and just having those moments of realization where it was like, oh, we can do it, and we can work together, and perhaps Greg needs this and I need this. And, I'd never even thought about it as a business before, like as a partnership and a business, and how we work together as a business. It was just, let's just go and see what happens.
So, but I mean, that's good, because you both giving a couple of different versions. I mean, in fact, it's not good. This is like gold, because you're saying that, Greg, you're saying like, I had these demons, I was set in my ways. And just imagine how many people may be set in there. So I'm interested to see in a moment, like, what advice would you give to these, people who may be struggling to even see that that's where they are at the moment. And Stacey, you're saying that literally you did already, you knew what to do. And, I say this a lot on different trainings and things that we do, is that people know what to do. They just don't do what they know. And they don't know why they're not doing what they know. And a lot of the time it comes down to people saying, it's because I already know.
Yeah.
But I know. Well, I'm telling you, but he's not doing what you know. And it's because you think you know. And it's now we're all confused. Yeah, and that's what happens. So what advice would you give to people who either want to grow a family, grow a business, start to move towards hitting some of their goals in their life, or build a property portfolio, invest in property? What advice would you give them?
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question, but one thing I would definitely say: take action. Act in spite of fear. Definitely. I think for my side of thing, a coach is fundamental in your journey, because that's really what accelerated us dramatically.
Why a lot of people don't understand coaching, and that's not because they're not intelligent or they don't, understand things in general. It's just that, coaching is a misunderstood term of what it actually is. So what would you say? What would you say some of the greatest things for you, but how it was applied in your journey and what results it started to allow you or enable you to achieve?
I think, I know for me, it was having that person who was outside of the situation, because quite often, week to week, we would sit and fill out our coaching form before the session and end up in an argument, or, get quite heated because it was bringing everything to the forefront. And quite often we'd sort of go into the call like...
So it works then?
Yeah. We'd quite often go in and go, I don't know how you can help me, because I don't know what we need or where we're going. Like,
I don't even want this call.
We're just, it's all a bit shit. But then at other times, like, we'd have that big thing and we'd go round and round, and then we'd get to a point and we'd be like, oh, okay, so that's what's going on and this is what we need. So then going on the call, somebody who's fresh from that situation and who hasn't been in that with us in the thick of it, to just go, well, it's simple, just do that. Whereas we couldn't see that because we were in it and we were feeling it, and the emotions were there and the intelligence was low, so to have that other person who's not emotionally involved in that way just helps you to constantly reset and go again.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think we were doing that on our own. We just kept going and going and going and getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I think
what were some of the biggest turning points?
Oh.
And what results did you get from that?
Well, to be fair, so before we started our coaching, we'd been going down to Stoke, I think, for about a year.
Yeah.
And we'd had no offers accepted, not even really close. And then within 3 months, we'd had 5 offers accepted in Birmingham, literally just from getting out there and having the conversations with the agents with the confidence that it was going to work and that this was right for us. So that was
okay. So you did it. You took action. So what was what was different? Because I'm assuming you didn't know too much more. Is in the technical business development aspect?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the coaching allowed me to actually just hold myself accountable and actually just look at myself and go, am I actually doing everything I can be doing? Or am I spending a lot of my energy doing one task and then sitting on the sofa crying about it because it's not going in the right direction? I'm open to saying that. And I think, the coaching really did help us, because you don't need a coach when it's going well. It's when you're having challenges, that's when you need a coach, and that's when they earn their money, because they can ask you questions and reflect in the moment. And I needed that, because yes, I could relate to the person I was getting coached by, but ultimately I was reflecting on myself and holding myself accountable to going, right, if I want this, I am the vehicle that is going to drive it. I haven't asked for a coach to do the job for me. But what it did teach me was I can do it. I had the confidence. When my little voice came up, I was able to close it off and still take action in spite of that fear. So for me, the coaching put me in a totally different mindset.
Yeah, for me, it was having somebody who had belief that we could do it. And it almost came across like completely unfaltering belief. Like, no matter how bad we were feeling, it was always, but you can do this. Like, you've got this. Just go and do it. So that pulled me out of myself. Whereas I think in the past, even when I was having the phone calls with the agents and things like that, deep down, I was like, it's not going to work. You're not going to accept the offer. I'm being stupid. Whereas the turning point for me was, like I say, having somebody that said, yes, it's going to work. You know what you're doing. Just go and do it. So then I think the energy that I was bringing across to the estate agents and the viewings was just so much more, there was a lot more belief. I remember having a viewing actually on one of the ones that was accepted, and the agent said, he wants, I think it was like 140 or something. He's already had accepted elsewhere, And I remember saying, I'll give him 125. And she was like, that's not going to be accepted. And I was like, well, that's what I'm offering. And I remember thinking to myself, gosh, I sound really confident. I feel like a pro. And then it got accepted.
Yeah.
And it was just having that, I guess, that permission to just go out there and do it and make mistakes if I make mistakes, but just to get on with it.
Yeah.
Rather than feeling like we had to know everything. And we talked about that a lot on the coaching calls, this feeling that we had to know everything before we did anything. Rather than just knowing the next step.
What's now that allowed you to go and do? Like, what deals are you working on? What's the outlook?
So, our current portfolio at the moment, it will be 30 units of accommodation, and the portfolio itself is worth 1.9 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, when you say it like that, wow.
But all of which, really, again, I think we've got to credit ourselves, all of that, because like we were talking earlier, a lot of the offers that got accepted initially didn't actually come through in the end. We sourced one of them on, and then a couple of them, we were still learning on the job, really, because one of them had that big subsidence, and we were like, we're going to keep it, and we were really emotionally attached to it. I think we had it for about 4 months before finally realising, okay, no, this project doesn't work, let's get rid of it. And then there was a couple of other deals, but all of the ones that we're working on now, the ones that are part of that portfolio, essentially were created whilst I was on maternity leave. So through being pregnant and having a newborn was when we've developed got these 5 projects on the go. And I don't know whether that's
the key to success is be pregnant.
I think so.
Well, yeah.
You should have told me that before. I would have designed the training very differently.
I mean, even like, having a baby is a massive part of this journey, because Greg proposed, and then I found out I was pregnant like the month later. And honestly, I mean, I don't know what made you decide to propose, but I feel as if we decided that, do you know what, we're moving forward now. Yes, we haven't got all the deals. Yes, we haven't got the cash flow coming in at that point, but it's going to happen. And so why are we waiting to start our life? Let's just do it. And I honestly think that was because of the change in the mindset, that we don't need to know exactly how it's going to work. We just need to know that we want it and take it.
Yeah, 100%. And have the right people around you, and it will happen.
So is that why you proposed?
It wasn't actually, because it was a year before, and I just put it off for a year.
Needs a bit of training on that. Procrastination, creative avoidance.
Yeah, all right.
So, hey, listen, all good stuff. So what advice you want to give to people that are maybe looking to get into property? They either maybe have started or looked into it or researched it, maybe finding some hurdles there. Number one, what advice you want to give to them? But then also, what is it that's going to enable them to, or what is it that enabled you to, you know, keep going and realize that, oh, we can make this work?
I think I'll start, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I've got different advice for the different kind of people that you mentioned. So the person that is thinking about getting into property, I would say to them that there is so much more to life than you currently have. And if you aren't 100% sure that your life is everything you want it to be, then you've got some work to do. You know, you can go ahead and you can find a vehicle like property to enable you to have everything you want. And the life you want isn't just for the people that you see in the films. Actually, it's for anybody that goes after it. So that'll be my advice to those people initially. Do you want to chip in? I'll come back.
Have you got anything to lead on to that?
Yeah. So then my other advice for people who are just starting to get into it, and, you know, they're kind of intrigued, but they're not really necessarily making the momentum that they want at the moment, would be to, first of all, make it very clear what your outcome is and what are your goals. You know, why are you in this property business in the first place? And then definitely get a coach, get a community around you who is going to push you and support you, so that no matter what happens, you can find a solution together. Because although you might be able to do it slowly by yourself, those times when it gets very difficult is when you are going to be able to lean on people who've been there and done it and can tell you, yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, nice. That's good advice. I agree with everything, obviously, as Stacey said. But at the same time, for me, look, if you really want to change your life, you've got to take action, and property can give you that, can be your vehicle for you to design whatever life you may want. I truly believe that, because that's exactly what we're doing right now. And what's going to help you move forward, I've already mentioned it to some extent, but a coach. Like I said, when things are going great, you don't necessarily need them. It's when things are going challenging, you're not sure where to go. You need someone to bounce ideas off. You need someone who's also able to ask you questions, so you can become solution orientated and really move your business forward, because it's about creating momentum. If you don't create that momentum, you're going to stand still and you will never move forward. And for me as well, a piece of advice is, look, if you really want it, you're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And in order to do that, you need to put one foot in front of the other. And if you continually do that, the compound effect of that will be, you will reach your destination, wherever that may be, whatever you design your life to be. So coach for me will really accelerate you.
Just to add to that, what you said in terms of, you know, you don't always need a coach when it's going well, I agree to some extent, but I also think that what you think is going well in a coach's mind might be only half your potential. And so actually at that point, having somebody in your corner to say, is this all you're capable of? You know, are you sure there's not more you can be doing or more you can achieve? Is going to push you to a level that you didn't realize you were capable of, and to a level of happiness that you didn't realize you had, and self-development that you didn't think you needed until you realized you did need it. Because before you change anything, you know, you've got to make sure you're the best possible version of yourself.
Yeah.
So this is Transformational Tuesday. So let's just put the property aside for just a second.
Yeah.
Like, what is the transformation? What is like the personal life? You just touched on a little bit about, you know, more happiness, more joy. What has been the benefits around that aspect of it? like the transformation? You're like, who have you become?
Well, I think for me, obviously, for me, I've been a lot more open. It's a great question. I've been a lot more open. I'm a lot more positive. My outlook on life in general is really positive. I know where I want to go, and that makes me really humble, but also really excited as well. And I feel like it's unlocked a different side to me through my stubbornness of not wanting to go there. But I've got here, and I really like the person who I've become. Obviously, we're engaged now, which is great. It took me 12 months to get there, but it helped. But ultimately, I look at challenges now and smile at them, because I think, well, it's only a challenge, but it's going to be. We can definitely get around it. We might not need to go. We might not be able to go from A to B, but we can definitely go around it. And I think a mindset of being solution orientated and just positive in general. I think that's where I'm at this moment in time. Yeah. Anything?
Yeah. For me, I would say that it's acknowledging the fact that I am solely responsible for my happiness. And if I'm having a crappy day, it's completely on me, and that it's up to me to do something to get my vibrations higher and get my energy higher. And I definitely find that now with Annabelle that I do that. If I feel like I'm having a bit of a low moment, I don't want her to feel that. I want to raise that up, and so we'll dance around the kitchen, or just be silly, and I want her to grow up knowing that you can be as happy as you want to be, and that you can you can be silly and you can play, and you can you don't have to just be constantly so serious and everything's always hard work, because that's not what life's about.
You don't have to go to university to do an academic degree. You can do what you want.
if you want to do an academic, she's going to be a
biologist.
We've all decided she's going to work in Bali. I'm going to go visit her.
We're going to live with her. We're going to own the island.
But there was something else I was going to say. Oh, it was just what you were saying in terms of being solution orientated. I remember that when we had our first couple of deals, something would come up and we would kind of look at each other and be like, oh God, like, why is this happening to us? It's always us, everything always goes wrong, we're never going to get there. Whereas now, like, things happen, sometimes like quite big things or quite expensive things. And I feel like it doesn't even faze me. I just sort of go, okay, right, so, what do we do? And I noticed that, like, when I'm coaching, some of my clients that are quite new to this, to them, it's still quite a shock when things happen because it's new. But I feel like I'm in a place now where I can say, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Because that's the way we've been trained now to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing this with you. I don't know about you, but I definitely feel this is going to inspire many people. Many people are going to be able to tap in and relate to the journey, the ups, the downs, the ins and outs, the type of people that you are. And that's all that we want here. We want people to realize that there's more to life, number one. The mission of Real Life is to assist people to be able to live the 5 freedoms, which, okay, financial, great, but really physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Have freedoms in all those areas. So the more people that we can reach, the better. So thank you for helping us to provide more value to the people, and great results, by the way, great results. So keep on doing it. I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys again a bit further down the line and see some of the monster things and results that you're working on. So everybody who's watching, you got to remember, if you want to see more of this, you got to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, hit the like, share it, comment. The more you do that, the more people that will see this. Yeah, and these people have a great story to tell, and people want to listen to that. So at least give them the opportunity by allowing this to get in front of them. So wherever it is that you're watching this, I never, ever want you to forget this one thing, and that is do the right thing for the right reason. Why is that?
Because the only way to discover your true
potential. The only way to discover your true potential.
I knew it wasn't going to work. Thank you very much, people. We'll see you next time. Make sure you are doing just that.